Okay, we're going to go over the information for our meeting before we actually open the hearing. Waiting for one more member. Not that we can't get started. We still have enough for a quorum. And we're going to have to compete a little bit with the rain, so hopefully we'll be able to hear us or the rain will stop. But the procedure for today's meeting is kind of the same as last Saturday. Due to the COVID, we have to set and do things a little differently. First, we will have people in the audience that can speak up and have their say, etc. We'll also be running on Zoom for those who choose not to come in, and those on Zoom can observe, but there's no contact with Zoom as far as the public goes. It's also streaming on YouTube, and I understand that both the Zoom and the YouTube went very well last week. And the procedure for the YouTube will be that it is controlled through Adam, our town tech and school guy. When the warrant article is presented, then we talk about it. We present it. Somebody may speak on it. After they're spoken on it, I will ask Adam if there's anybody in the public who has any comments, and he will respond yes or no. If there is someone, then we have a little bit of a delay. He will get the question, and he will come up on Zoom and give us the question, and for whomever it's for, and we will try to answer it best we can. So I think that's kind of the same way we did it last week. Where John is.
What are we doing?
So the other factor is how we're going to do the meeting actually this morning. Myself or the board member will read the warrant article. Then we will read the warrant article. Anybody who wants to speak on it may speak on it. Obviously, if they have a question through Adam, they can do that. After the question, we'll move on to the next warrant article. We'll just go to it, go on to the next warrant article. We will not vote to recommend at this time or not recommend at this time, since the Budget Committee has not had a lot of time to talk about the articles. As a board, we will discuss at our board meeting after the hearing and make our recommendations along with the selectmen. Depending on time, we will meet right after the hearing, or if necessary, we'll take a break, then meet back on the stage. All people are welcome to stay. This meeting will be for the Budget Committee and selectmen only, will not be public input at this time. We will review each article and make our recommendations at that time. So with that, I would like to open the hearing now. I'd like to open the hearing for the Municipal Budget Committee at 9:07. It's a public hearing to review all of the 2021 warrant articles and finalize review recommendations and vote on that. And then they're also opening a Budget Committee meeting. The selectmen are opening their meeting, correct?
Yep, we called the meeting to order.
Okay, so selectmen are all set. And what we will do, if I remember, is that when it's over, when the public hearing part of it is over, we won't adjourn it. We'll leave it open so that in case something comes up at our meeting, we can reopen the hearing so we can take a proper vote if we have to. At this point, the board members for the Budget Committee is My far left, Kim Donahue. And Jim LaValle is next. And let's see, who's on my list here? Anne Marie Roth is next. John Pomberg. Marissa Federico is the recording secretary, and Stanley Shalet's on the end. So with that, let's get going. So,
Chuck, I think you have a couple people on Zoom.
oh, that's right. Sorry about that, guys. Rick, can you hear us all right? Are you there, Rick? Gary?
I can hear you. Yes, good.
I can hear you.
Okay,
Thank you.
remember you guys got to speak right into your computer speakers there. Heather is another member who is not here today, but wasn't feeling well, so she may pop in and out on Zoom as we go along. But right now, she's not there. So what we're going to do, or the procedure is to, I will read the, oh, sorry about that. We get to the warrant articles. Are we ready? The first article, which is Article 1, which really is just, it's an election of town offices. I'm really not going to read any of that unless the selectmen would like to. My only quest there to put my plug in for Budget Committee, we are probably going to be short 5 people. We are short like 3 right now, but I'm thinking we may even be short 5 people for next year. So anybody who is interested in running for the Budget Committee or getting involved with the town, please go to the town hall or go online. There is a form that you can pick up, and I think the open time is the 20th to the 29th. Is that somewhere in there for signing up to run for an office in town? So please, we're short people, and you know, the more we have, the less work it is for everybody. So
Can we just read through all the open positions just so the people at home do know what's coming available?
we can do. You want to do that? You want me to do it?
I can do it if you want.
Okay.
Let me just read the whole article.
Yes.
Okay, Article 1, to elect the following town offices: 2 selectmen for a term of 3 years, 1 town clerk, tax collector for a term of 3 years, 1 supervisor of the checklist for a term of 5 years, 2 trustees of the trust fund for a term of 3 years, 1 trustee of the trust fund for a term of 1 year, 3 library trustees for a term of 3 years, 2 planning board members for a term of 3 years, 4 budget committee members for a term of 3 years, and 2 zoning board of adjustment members for a term of 3 years.
Thank you. It's important. There's a lot of openings out there, so don't be shy. Sign up. All right. So Article 2 is the operating budget. And what I'm going to do with that is that I'm going to read, not line by line, you can rest assured on that. I'm going to read the main department or committee
Did we?
and the total amount on that. And we're going to read through the whole list. And then at the end, anybody will ask the question. If anybody in the audience has any information to add, put on, do whatever they want to do. And then we'll also go out to the public. So again, if you've got, when we get through with the budget, everybody that's at least wise here should have a copy of the budget. If there's any questions on anything, just bring it up when we're done. And there's no particular order, so speak up if you have it. So, operating budget, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately. The amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $6,654,925. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $6,474,403, which is the same as last year with the certain adjustments required by previous action of the town or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40-13, 10, and 16 to take up the issues of revised operating budget only. This operating budget warrant article does not include appropriations contained in any other warrant articles. And new this year, as you can see on the bottom, it says estimated tax impact, which is $4.97 on 1,000 valuation of your house. That is new this year. So the first item that we have, we're going by order of pages 1 through 15, which is the normal order that we had last week. We took it out of order for convenience, but there's no reason to do that this week. So the first item is the executive, and that budget is $365,938. The next budget is elections and registrations, which is $11,450. Then we have assessing at $21,750. Audit at $20,000. Budget committee, $2,080. Town clerk, town treasurer, $171,917. Treasury salary is $7,800. Trustee of the trust fund salaries, $1,875. Trustees trust fund bookkeeping is $1,800. Financial administration total is $227,222. Legal expenses is $35,000. Personnel administration, $1,165,423. Planning and zoning, planning board, $85,158. ZBA, $1,680. HDC, $1,350. Total for planning and zoning, $88,188. Government buildings, $252,094. Cemetery, $36,850. Insurance, $64,915. Other general government, back that up, regional association dues, $6,244. Other general government, $137,000. Police department, $812,052. Fire department, $709,050. Town inspectors, $41,551. Emergency management, $30,452. Highway department, $1 million, I never can read that number, $1,041,544. Street lighting, 33. Other highways and streets and bridges, 173,486. Sanitation, 544,369. Health department, 36,625. Pest control, 54,251. Human services, 15,718. General assistance, 40,500. Social services, 31,908. Museum, historical museum, 5,765. Heritage Commission, 8,046. Conservation, 12,660. Long-term bonds and notes principal, 134,650. Long-term bonds and notes interest, 100,604. For a total budget this year of $6,654,925. Now, originally, and that is the amount that is on that warrant article. And originally, as you can see, the town budget itself was up 4%. But when we add in the bond and interest payment, which is for the new firehouse, that brings it up to another 4%. So it brings the total up to 8%. But the actual budget itself is up, the town budget is up 4%. Now, I missed one here, so hang on. Wrong order. Parks and Recreation, 27,901. The library, 409,969. Then I did the last three. We did Museum, Heritage, Conservation, which thus does give us the total budget of $6,654,925. Did I forget anything? Do anything bad yet? So now is the time. We've gone through the budget. Is there, on any of those particular line items, is there anyone who wishes to speak on any of that part? Rebecca, representing the library. And Adam's doing a sprint across the stage there. Cool thing we do it.
It doesn't always work anyway, but good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? I think I have to get down here. Most of you know me. Okay, most of you know me. My name's Rebecca Matek. I'm the library director. And you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, my name is Heidi Blaze.
If you can speak up as much as you can without setting the thing off, because with the rain coming here and getting all the way back here, it is a little difficult to hear. So, can you guys hear her? Actually, it's better with you standing there, isn't it, than the microphone?
Yeah, but they're not going to hear them at home.
You got to use the microphone for the Zoom and the YouTube. So, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Is this better?
That's better right there.
My name is Heidi Blaze. I'm currently a library trustee, very new on the board. I've been a resident of Kingston over 44 years, and I'm here supporting the library. I'd like you people to reopen the issue of the library budget. I have in front of me, at this point, we're only interested in the full-time positions. And I have 3 letters to read that are from individuals that just submitted these. I believe that the budget committee also received them. First one is, good afternoon, Chuck. I am writing in support of restoring the library budget, the $12,888 to the full-time budget line. It is my understanding that restoring this money will enable the library to hire a children's librarian to fill the position vacated by Haley's departure last December. As a longtime library patron and volunteer bone builders instructor, I witnessed the joy that the young children and their mothers displayed when they entered the library on Fridays to participate in the Messy Baby program. I also observed Haley interact with children and their parents in the course of their duties as youth librarian. Making young children comfortable in the library environment helps ensure that their patronage throughout their lives. As a bone builder instructor, I worked with senior participants in their 60s, 70s, and 80s and beyond. I came to appreciate that the Kingston Community Library is truly a community resource, serving patrons from preschoolers on up to seniors like me. I view the restoration of funds to the library budget to be an investment in our community that will continue to benefit all of its members. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Brian Petrakis. The next one is the Kingston Budget Committee and Selectmen. I am writing to you today to request that you restore funding to the salary line of the Kingston Community Library budget. The Budget Committee cut $12,888 from its full-time budget line on Saturday, January 9th, 2021. And this action seems unfair as no other town department budgets have been cut. The library has 2 open positions. Candidates are currently being interviewed and these positions need to be filled as soon as possible. The Kingston Community Library is a beautiful facility. The staff is always friendly and helpful, and the community services this library provides goes well beyond providing books, magazines, and DVDs. Kingston residents deserve a fully staffed and funded library. Almost 4 years ago, before my husband and I would commit to the purchase of a home in Kingston, our first stop was to check out the local public library. As an avid reader and former library trustee, I knew that I would be a frequent library user. We were impressed during that first visit, and during the next 4 years, our expectations have all been exceeded. All of the funds allocated to the Kingston Community Library are monies well spent. The next letter, that's from Susan Driggs. Next one is, I am writing to you today regarding your decision to cut the library budget by $12,888. The result will be a delay in hiring a children's librarian for several months. The loss of our children's librarian has been felt very deeply by parents and the kids. The children's programs are so very important to our community, especially during these times of COVID. Parents have been relying on the children's programs as a way to expand their kids' experiences during a time of isolation. The library is a huge community center in our town. Residents utilize the library for much more than books and movies. Many depend on the resources that it provides that otherwise would not be available to them. Many come in because they just love to enjoy the warm and friendly atmosphere. The beautiful building was designed to invite community. Please reconsider your decision to cut the library budget. I speak not only as a resident, but also a staff member. I can't tell you how often I get stopped by neighbors and patrons whom I encounter while I'm out and about. Parents and grandparents tell me that the great experiences they have bringing their children or grandchildren into the many wonderful programs. The kids just love coming to the library. Respectfully, yours, Chris Kelsey. I'll read the first one. We have additional and new information for the boards. We are asking that you put in half the amount that was cut. We are not asking for the full amount that was cut. We understand that when you look at the numbers in the full-time line, it looks like we may not fill the positions till March, but these are critical positions to the library, especially the youth services position. It affects the current staff through mid-March. We ask you to consider that this deep cut to our full-time wages affect the library trustees' ability to fill 2 positions. You are asking the staff to cover 80 additional hours per week. We can't add more hours to the part-time staff. We have already done this, and there is no wiggle room for anyone getting sick, being in quarantine for COVID, or for anyone that needs time off. By cutting almost $13,000 from the full-time budget line, in effect, the Budget Committee has put a hiring freeze on 2 full-time positions until March, essentially cutting the full-time budget. The Budget Committee has laid off 2 positions until March or after the election. We asked that the Budget Committee put $6,445, half of the $12,889, back into the full-time or part-time line. We have to cover the hours the library is open somehow, and either the part-timers will have to cover the hours, or we will be able to hire one of the full-time positions in February to be able to cover those hours. We are interviewing now. We have interviewed 3 candidates for the youth librarian position this week, and we have 3 interviews scheduled for next week. We want to offer the position to one of these candidates to start right away, and we may also have an adult services candidate in this pool of candidates. We do not want to put off hiring 1 or 2 of these full-time positions. And I hope I can transfer this over. That one? Okay. 4. Sorry. The full-time positions, both the adult services and the youth services positions, were voted on and approved to be funded by the taxpayers. To cut them is, or to do a hiring freeze is not appropriate. The cuts the Budget Committee voted on last week say that we cannot hire until March after the voting. We currently have no staff in the children's room, and we have no extra staffing for the part-timers. If we cannot fill the 2 positions until March, we will have to cut the hours the library is open. We will have to close on Saturday and some of our afternoons and evening hours until the March vote because of a lack of staff. Rebecca. Okay. Yep. You're gonna have to excuse me.
You okay? You need some help? Okay. So if you have any questions, I'm here. I have any information if you need it, but we are interviewing now. We had some great candidates. We have outstanding candidates. 2 very highly qualified people we interviewed this week. One could fit very well with the adult services position. The other person definitely for the youth position, but we have 3 more interviews next week. We expect to be finished with the interviews next week, and I and the trustees and I are ready to make offers. And if we can restore the $6,445, just half of that $12,000, that means that we can go ahead with those offers. We don't have to wait through February and part of March to give those offers.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ellen, you want to?
Hello. I guess I'm louder than everybody. I do want to speak to the Budget Committee today because I do think that an error has been made. I don't mean any criticism to the Budget Committee. As many of you know, I have a little bit of a unique perspective with the Budget Committee. I've served the town as a selectman, a library trustee, and I served 10 years on the Budget Committee with the majority of it being chairman. So this is not a criticism of any kind. I know that when you're looking at the budget, it becomes very linear and you're looking at money. But sometimes the actions you take do an impact that you were not thinking of or not aware of. In effect, by cutting those budgets so that they can't hire anyone until March, you did inadvertently set a hiring freeze for a single individual department in this town, which is a policy decision, which would have had to come from either the selectmen or the trustees or a combination of both. I know that that wasn't your intent, but that in effect is what you've done. It's not really the place where the budget committee should be going in that particular instance. These are positions that have been voted on by the town as full-time, 40-hour-a-week or whatever it is, but full-time positions. So to now say that you're only going to fund them for 10 months, you're going against what the town voted. And then next year, if 2 new positions are created, that's going to increase all of their budgets. Will you then only fund them for 10 months? I don't think that's your intent. I get your intent is to try and cut it. I think the library is being generous and only asking for half of it back. I don't understand why you would cut any more than the 3 weeks of this year that haven't been established. Nobody's been in them. You do, however, by doing that, create a false decrease in the budget that you're going to, again, next year be wondering why the library's budget is higher, because now they've got to put that money back in, and it automatically brings their budget up higher to keep the full-time positions that the town has already voted. So I know that wasn't anyone's intent. You look at money, I get it, but looking at money creates impacts that I don't think you realized you had done. So I would have thought it would have been like 2 positions times 3 weeks times 40 hours times the average is 21. That would be about $4,800 that would come out of their budget. It's not up to the budget committee to say, oh, we don't think you can fill it. If they don't fill it, they should give the money back at the end of the year. But you still need to give them the opportunity to fill the positions that the town has already voted. So I just ask that I would think you'd give them back all of it except the amount that they haven't used this year, which again creates a false deficit. So next year the budget's already going to increase. But you have to keep that in mind too, because this is how they keep getting into this issue. They asked for raises for their employees that was only for 6 months, because that's all they knew they were going to need it for. You now have to fund it for a year. That automatically creates an increase in the budget without any changes. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to your attention, to maybe have you discuss it again a little bit, to maybe come up with a more equitable number that doesn't keep the library from being able to hire the positions that the town has already voted and created. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the Budget Committee Board at this point have any questions? Rick or Gary, any questions? Comments?
No questions.
Asking it again, but Gary, you all set? Gary, you all set? Can't hear you.
Unmute. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. No questions. We've heard it.
We can't hear you, Gary.
Yeah, no questions.
No questions.
No questions. Okay, Gary. Selectmen, do you guys all set for now? All right.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
No,
We will
yeah.
talk about that later. Next, Article 3,
Well, geez.
rescind the ambulance replacement fund. And this is put in by the selectmen for the fire department. Shall the town rescind the provisions of RSA 3195C to restrict 100% of the revenue from ambulance billing of non-residents to expenditures for the purpose of replacement of the Kingston Fire Department ambulance, known as the Ambulance Replacement Special Revenue Fund. Said funds will accumulate interest to date of withdrawal, are to be transferred to the municipality's general fund, This article will be contingent upon the passage of Article 4. Majority vote required, no tax impact. Would anyone like to speak to that, Chief?
Good morning, I guess. Fire Chief Graham Pellerin. If you want to read Article 4 as well, and then I'll just address both at the same time.
One is predicated on the other. Not so sure we can
Yes. Go
we
ahead.
can do that. I don't know if we can do both or we have to do them individually. So you can refer to the Article 4, but maybe we
Okay.
should.
So Articles 3 and 4, the town in 1999 established a capital reserve or a revolving fund for replacement of the ambulance. Currently, it has about $240,000 in that fund. And as the article states, it's only, money is only put in there by non-resident billing. So resident billing goes into the general fund, non-resident billing goes into this fund. The reason for these two articles is, as of right now, when the fund was established, the monies can only go to replace the ambulance vehicle itself. So it can't be used for training, it can't be used for supplies, it can't be used for anything else other than the replacement of the chassis of the physical ambulance. So with the passage of Articles 3 and 4, I am looking to be able to use that to buy supplies, train my people, the required contracts that we have every year with Exeter Hospital or any other required contracts that cost money, we'd be able to take it out of that. So really it's a creative way to try to alleviate some of my budget. So since some numbers, since 2003, the ambulance has generated over $2 million back to the general fund and over $775,000 into this replacement fund. So I ask for your support.
Okay, any particular, we're dealing with 3, but 3 and 4 are relevant. We'll read 4 in a second. Is there any questions on this part of it? And I forgot to ask you before, Adam, if there's anybody out for Article 1, 2, or 3? That would be no. Okay, thank you. So Article 4 is to establish an ambulance service revolving fund. And I'm going to ask Jim to read that if he could. Save me a little bit.
Can't hear a word he's saying.
You guys hear him?
No.
You got to speak in a little closer, Jim. Not much.
No.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay, Article 4, establish ambulance services revolving fund. To see if the town will vote to establish an ambulance services revolving fund pursuant to RSA 3195H for the purpose of purchase, repair, and maintenance of EMS vehicles, EMS equipment, EMS supplies, and payment of advanced life support agreements. All revenues received from non-resident ambulance billing will be deposited into the fund, and the money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. And further to raise and appropriate the sum of $246,100 to be added to the EMS services revolving fund, with this amount to come from the town's unassigned fund balance. The town treasurer shall have custody of all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the governing body, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose for which the fund was created after public notice of proposed expenditures. This article will be contingent upon the passage of Article 3, majority vote required, no tax impact.
Okay. Anything else, Graham?
Yeah, so after speaking with DRA, well, actually Cindy and Susan did most of the legwork. I appreciate them. I know it was brought up at the selectmen's meeting on Monday, and Susan had stated that after speaking with DRA, if we list the purposes for the fund, then it restricts us to that purpose, just like the original fund in 1999 restricts us to buying the ambulance only. So DRA said that we could take that out. So I've never really changed a warrant article before, but I'd like to strike that from this warrant article if possible. Right after the RSA on the second line, so strike for the purpose of purchase, repair, and maintenance of EMS vehicles, EMS equipment, EMS supplies, and payment for life support agreements.
Now, what,
And then the only other thing is that Article 4 is contingent on Article 3 and vice versa.
right,
If,
now,
if,
what, you gotta, one is the selectmen's warrant article, so they've got to change it. But I didn't, what, try that again with what you want to change, because I didn't,
I just, like I said, I don't want to pigeonhole the fire department, myself, or the expenditures of this. By setting up this account, it has to be spent for ambulance purposes. So I can't buy a new fire truck. I can't give myself a raise. It can only be spent for, anything to do with the ambulance. But if we leave that line in for the purpose of purchase and list out the purposes, then it pigeonholes just those purposes. So for instance, we have 2 life pack monitors on our ambulance. So they're defibrillators, they're what we use to take blood pressures and read oxygen levels, all that good stuff. They're about $25,000 a piece. The ones that we currently have, I believe, are 8 years old, and we were told by the manufacturer that their motherboards aren't replaceable. So this year, because of COVID, because of their issue with the motherboards, they offered all fire departments buy one, get one free. So instead of paying $50,000 for 2, bought 2 for the price of 1. I could have taken that out, well, with the vote of selectmen in a public meeting, I could have taken that out of this fund, but I can't just find $50,000 in my budget. So, like I said, I'd like to, and I don't know the process for that. I guess that's why.
you want to take that line out? Is that what you're
Yes.
trying to say?
Yes.
You have that, what he's trying to, it's your warrant article. You have to,
Yeah, essentially what DRA said is we were being too specific. So like, for instance, say there was a software upgrade that was needed. Well, does that fall under equipment, supplies, and payment of, so without being, they just basically recommended that we not be so specific in the warrant article because it could potentially hamstring us if something that didn't fit within that category was there.
so that,
Sure, absolutely.
All you guys need to do is have the selectmen vote right now to remove that sentence from it and just take that vote because it's their article. So they're the only ones that can do it. So if they take a vote right now to remove that sentence, it's a done deal.
okay, do you want to do that? Okay,
Make a motion to strike that language.
Enough, yeah.
I got a motion and a second, so to be clear, it is the highlighted in red for the purposes of purchase, repair, and maintenance of EMS vehicles, equipment, EMS supplies, and payment of advanced life support agreements. Further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? No. Sorry. Anyone opposed? Passes. Okay.
Passed unanimously.
very good. Thank you. Any comments on that one, Adam? All right. Rick, Gary, you all set? Okay. Article 5, LED streetlights upgrade. To see if the town of Kingston will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $75,833 for the purpose of installation of energy-saving equipment, namely LED streetlights, which will provide energy-saving benefits to the town in the future. A rebate incentive for the town's energy provider, from the town's energy provider is $16,946, will help to offset the cost. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 9 cents per thousand. I'm sure the selectmen have some information on that. Kevin?
I'll speak a little more to it at deliberative session, because we'd like to add language in there, but I'm gonna speak to Unitil so we can get what the actual cost savings will be. The difference with this warrant article versus the intent of what we started as selectmen, we're gonna finance it through Unitil, and it was gonna cause some bonding issues and everything else. The way this article goes, it pays everything out in the first year. What's not shown in there is there will be a $16,000 rebate to the town of Kingston from Unitil that will offset that cost. And we should realize a savings of at least $10,000 a year in our street lighting once the conversion is done. And the only other thing I'd like to add is that the company that's doing the work, Affinity Light, they are located in Dover, New Hampshire. They have a facility there that hires veterans and actually manufactures the LED lights right here in this country with the use of veteran employees. But like I said, when it comes to deliberative, I'd like to have information to make everyone feel comfortable of the savings we'll realize and add that language in at that time.
Okay, any other questions? Any questions from the board? Rick, do you have any comment on that?
No, it's obviously something I've been trying to do for quite a while, and it just makes sense. And they've done more than 80 towns around us, and it's a great way to save the taxpayers money.
The final wording will come out next week on the 30th when we do the deliberative.
Right.
All right, anybody else on that one? Okay, Article 6, discount. To see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to allow a 1.5% deduction from property tax when payment is made prior to the due date. It is the responsibility of the taxpayer to take the deduction. Deductions not taken by the taxpayer on or before the due date will not be refunded. Majority vote required, no tax impact. Any questions on that one? I'm sure not. Article 7, appropriation of capital reserve fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $85,000 to be placed in the previously established fire apparatus replacement capital reserve fund. Majority vote required. Tax impact is 10 cents per thousand. Chief?
So capital reserve, I'm sure all of you know what it's for, but we put it in every year. It used to be $75,000. Obviously, the cost of trucks are going up. So it's $85,000. Every year that this fails, if we need to replace a fire truck, then it's going to boost your taxes that year more so if it keeps failing. So it did fail last year, but we did get the station, so I appreciate that. Our schedule in the CIP plan was to replace trucks every 20 years. They're building trucks better, so we're not replacing trucks every 20 years. It's basically when we need to. All of our fleet looks pretty good for right now, so I'm not planning on replacing any vehicles in the next few years, but I ask for your support on this as well.
How much is in that account now? Do you know, Chief?
My assistant is checking right now.
How much?
$363,050.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
353,000.
Any other questions from anyone? Board, selectmen? Rick, Gary, you all set?
Yeah, can we ask the chief what a new fire truck costs nowadays?
Uh,
500?
So an engine probably is $500,000 to $600,000. A tanker is probably about the same, and just for reference, a new ambulance is probably about $200,000.
Get that, Gary?
Thank you.
Article 8, appropriation to capital reserve fund to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to be placed in the previously established building maintenance capital reserve fund. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 9 cents per thousand. And anything on that, Rich?
Morning, folks. Sorry. So this has been a fund that was established, it's been established for quite a while now. Okay. Try it again. This fund is established for quite a few years. It's used for any projects that weren't budgeted. Something that comes up out of the ordinary. I'm pretty sure this money will be used this year for a water line to go from the new fire station to supply water suppression for the sprinkler system, so we keep the town hall and the Nichols building open for the year. No fire suppression, no town hall. They're moving away from the system that's at the old Sanborn Seminary, and so that town controls its own destiny. That's probably will be used. Just that you guys support this. It's been a good fund to have for unexpected expenses. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from anybody?
Yeah, can you tell us how much is in the fund now?
Gary? Try that again, Gary.
Can you tell us how much is in the fund now?
I can't.
Can you hear me?
195.
I can't hear.
195.
195, Gary.
Good, thank you.
Adam, do we have any other? Okay. Moving along, Article 9. Again, appropriation for capital reserve fund to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be placed in the previously established Highway Department Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 12 cents per thousand. Rich?
How much is in there now? Presently, there's $120,000 in that fund. The fund is used to replace trucks and equipment for the highway department and building maintenance. About 120 grand in there now. I can tell you, we have a truck that needs to be replaced. Replacement truck, one of the numbers for a big truck now is about $190,000. Replace one big plow truck. You all know what capital reserve funds are for. It's to prevent the spikes in the budget when we do buy trucks or equipment, same as the fire department. Town's always supported this. I think there's been 1 year in the last 32 that it wasn't supported. Hopefully it gets supported this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on that one, Gary?
No.
I don't hear anything, so I go all right. Article 10, full-time position. To see if the town will vote to create a full-time highway administrative secretary position and eliminate the current part-time position. Further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $31,354 for salary and benefits to be added to the $25,000 currently in the proposed Highway Department budget. This appropriation will be for salary and benefits for 9 months if approved. The position will become part of the operating budget in ensuing years. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 4 cents per thousand. I don't know, Rich or the selectman, whichever. Go ahead.
So this is to, I presently have a part-time position that was approved by the voters. This is to make it a full-time position to hopefully attract someone. I just think it's time it becomes a full-time position. Let's face it, folks, I control about $1.8 million of the budget. Presently, I'm operating with an administrative assistant that's available to me 45 minutes a day. It doesn't cut it. I'll be leaving the position this year. There needs to be some continuity. Hope you support it.
Okay, Selectman, any comments on that?
Go ahead, Kevin. So like Rich was saying, right now, the admin over at the police station is assisting the highway department. You know, we're putting way too much administrative, just day-to-day running of the operation over there on the highway or on the road agent. This will allow, you know, someone to field calls from residents, answer basic questions, so he's not just doing stuff that people could have answered in 5 minutes. He's having to take the time out of his day. He's running projects, he's doing all these things. And, you know, like he said, it has worked for a little while, but, you know, the requirements of the highway department are too much to not have a full-time person monitoring that. Again, just basic things like protocols, filing, stuff like that is not happening at the highway department. That's not anyone's fault, but like and I'm not saying just basic things, but I'm saying like long-term record keeping and having access to all the things. I mean, Rich has an encyclopedic knowledge of this town, but Rich will not always be in that position. And we need, as he said, continuity in the position to ensure that just all the things about the little tiny things about roads and permits and things like that. There's someone who knows everything about that. Just as no one will ever know it as much as Rich, but at least we'll have someone there that can know those things and administer those things. But more than anything, it's a customer service thing for the residents. You know, if you have an issue, you can get a hold of someone in the office and they can, you know, bring it up to the highway or I keep saying the highway manager, the road agent, and, you know, get something done about it. We're just kind of splitting the road agent too many ways to kind of answer calls and run jobs and do all these things. So this is trying to just kind of shift that load.
Thank you. Ellen?
Sorry to take the time today, but next meeting, I'm going to be moderator, so I can't speak to anything. The amount of paperwork, emails, phone calls that come into the offices, I work for the town, is amazing. And to have a staff person who could take Rich away from doing all those things, or any department head, allows them to do the job they're actually tasked to do, instead of having them have to do all the things that an administrative assistant can do for him. So I just want to come forward now while I can to say that I support this position, to allow the people in the buildings and grounds, and if they're working for them too, and the highway department, to be able to actually do their function and not have to do the function of administrative assistant.
Thank you.
And Chuck, I had one more thing.
Yes, sir.
We've been recently, the EPA has come down on us for the MS4 stormwater requirements. That's a big expenditure that the town is going to be undertaking. That is a whole new set of tasks. I mean, Rich has been managing that, but now we have a written plan from an engineering firm that we now have to follow. And there are severe financial penalties associated with that. And that is one of the things that this person would be tasked with managing. And it's something that will directly cost the town a huge amount of money. It's,
we don't.
you know, this is where the buck stops on all this great ideas. We want clean water. Well, it comes downhill to the town. And so this is the person who will be managing that. And it's going to be a big task, and we need someone full-time to do that as well.
Thank you. Gary, Rick, Heather, you all set?
Yes.
Heather was with us, by the way.
Good.
Heather is now with us on Zoom. She's another budget committee board member. Okay. Adam, is anything? Article 11, full-time code enforcement position. To see if the town will vote to create a full-time code enforcement officer position. Further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $65,690 for salary and benefits. This appropriation will be for salary and benefits for 9 months. If approved, this position will become part of the operating budget in ensuing years. Majority vote required, estimated tax impact 0.8 cents per thousand. And the selectman would update us on that.
So my story on this is Rich St. Hilaire and I got in his truck one day and we started the last out line on 125. And we started writing down all the violations with approved site plans, stormwater, just general building violations. We didn't even make a taunt road before I had a full page of notebook paper of just egregious violations that we could see from 125. You're asking the Board of Selectmen to be the code enforcement authority of this town. You have 5 volunteers paid $80 a week trying to catch these people here and there. The chief of police has been filling in where he can. It's just not a situation that's good. There are a lot of violations. A lot of people are talking about site plan review and people going before the planning board. Well, these people make these deals with the planning board and then there is no one whatsoever to follow up on it. Short of when they build the building or the town engineer goes out there and checks it as they're building it. As far as follow-up, there really is none unless we get a complaint. We are very cognizant of the fact that people don't want, more full-time positions. We would not be here asking for this if it was not absolutely required. We have a lot of violations in town. Again, as I mentioned, the stormwater part. I see the highway administrator as the person who would do the paperwork side of this, but there's going to have to be someone on the ground verifying all these things. I could go on, and if you want me to, catch me offline and I can explain, I'll just show you the notebook pages. I sit on the inspectors meeting and, we're using the plumbing inspector, the electrical inspector, all our inspectors as our eyes and ears out there, but we don't have anybody with enforcement authority to follow up on it short of the Board of Selectmen. And then what the long-term plan with this is, once we get the position established and just chasing these violations, I would anticipate if this person's working 40 hours a week, it's going to take 2 years. At that point, they would take on the role of most likely building inspector on top of being the code enforcement officer as well. Robert Stewart is set to retire at some point, but he would train that person up in the building inspector side of it. So we would be shedding a part-time position at that point. So it's not just creating a job. We're taking out a part-time job at some point, but this is very, very important to the town just because we make deals with people, but then we never follow up to make sure that they're carrying their end of it. And this will allow that to happen.
Any other questions from the board, the audience?
Nope.
You guys, Rick, Gary, any questions on that?
No.
Good.
All right, Article 12. This is a petitioned warrant article. This is appropriation for So Rock Coalition. On a petition of 25 or more registered voters, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,333, $1 per person, based on town population to support the substance misuse prevention suicide prevention, and community wellness services of the SOROC Coalition for Healthy Youth. SOROC's work promotes wellness and nature's resiliency for the children, youth, community education, programming and resources, and collaborating with federal and state agencies to help direct additional resources to the town they serve. Estimated tax is 1 cent per thousand. Is someone here from SOROC to talk about this? Anybody Zoom or nothing on YouTube from SOROC? Ellen?
Last year, the budget committee approved about half of this or recommended about half of this. All I want the budget committee to recognize is that SOROC is in the school. And this year, the Sanborn Regional School District Budget Committee at their last meeting is funding this agency for $3,000. I personally think that the school budget is probably the appropriate place for this to be. And as a taxpayer, I wouldn't want to have to fund it twice. So I leave that.
Thank you. Everybody hear that?
Can I speak to this?
Yes?
I'm not sure that got approved in the school budget. I was watching the meeting that night, and I believe that they passed several different items in their school budget. And then when they went back and did their final vote, they voted for a default budget that was actually less than the original intended budget. So I don't think that this is being funded through the school. And this is not a school program. This is a community program whose office happens to be in the school building, but it's not a school program. It's for anybody in the community from 0 to 100. So I don't think that that's accurate, and I'm not sure that it is being funded at all by the school budget.
Heather, get closer to your mic there, or your computer.
Oh.
You can't.
I was just saying that I don't actually know where my mic is. I'm not sure. I don't believe that it is being funded by the school budget. I believe the school budget's cuts on their final vote at their budget meeting was much less than when they were deliberating throughout the session.
We can't hear you, Heather.
I don't know.
I can hear.
I don't know where my mic is, to be honest. I'll just experiment. Can you hear me here?
Yeah, that's better. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. I do not believe SOROC is being funded by the school budget because of what the school budget finally voted on, which was less than what they deliberated. Also, this is not a school program. This is a community program. It is not just in the schools. It is available to anybody in the entire community, as well as in many other communities. So I don't think that that's accurate.
Thank you. Any other questions on that one? Chief Briggs?
The Kingston Police does in fact use their services.
You do use them. Okay. Okay, moving along to Article 13. Playground upgrade, Folly Brook Terrace. This is a petitioned article on petition of 38 registered voters to the town of Kingston to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $29,000 for upgrading of the 20-plus-year-old playground on Folly Brook Terrace at Como Field. This will include the purchase of some new commercial-grade playground equipment and reusing of some current equipment as well as ground material to be installed at the playground on Folly Brook Terrace at Como Field. Estimated tax impact 3 cents on the thousand. Selectmen, no, it's a petition warrant article. Is our recreation director is here.
Good morning, I'm Paul Butler, the recreation director, and the current playground is nearing the end of its life. it's in need of repair at least. I first talked to a gentleman who, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I first talked to a gentleman who works with different playground companies, and he gave me an estimate of $54,000 to replace the entire playground. I told him I thought that was too much. So we went back and went over the playground, and he worked out a plan of reusing some of the current playground equipment there and came up with some creative ideas and brought it down to 29,000. So that's what we're requesting.
Any questions by anybody? I know there was some thought of, at one point, of doing it as a fundraiser. I don't know if that, I mean, a lot of the playgrounds that you read about that end up in the paper are.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Actually, I looked into a grant, which I think would be more possible, but it wouldn't be in time for the vote. So they don't open back up until April, the grants. And I've looked a little bit into fundraising, like a GoFundMe and things like that, but I just felt I wanted to bring this forward first. If that doesn't work, then we can try to work on other things.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, Selectman? Anything on that?
I didn't hear it as far as how much use is there of the playground?
On how much, what the usage is?
Yes.
The usage on the playground, guys?
It's used a lot. This year was a different year. A lot of moms didn't bring their kids out to use the playground. Moms and dads, excuse me, caretakers. So this year is no example of the use, but past years it's busy constantly. You have any kind of a day is nice weather. Parents are out there, kids are out there, families, groups. Very well utilized. Also, to support Paul, it says more than 20, but it's right around 20 years old. The useful life of structures like this is 17. I can tell you, we've cobbed it up and patched it up and tried to keep it safe and usable. It's time to do something. I would suggest, Paul, that if this doesn't pass, that we consider closing it. The wood is decayed. Whether you like it or not, pressure treated wood doesn't last forever. I mean, it isn't really pressure treated. There's no cyanide or anything like that in the wood, but needs to be replaced, needs to be taken care of, or we really need to consider doing away with it.
You get some of that, Rick?
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep.
And it sounds like it's, if we don't do something in the near future, it'll have to be closed for safety issues, so.
Right. No, it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the last one. So at this point, I would like to recess the hearing and let's take a 10-minute break and we will come back up here in the same spot and we will commence to do our voting and recommendations.
Good. 10 minutes. Wonderful.
To order.
Well, I'm waiting on them. So actually, we have a bit of a faux pas. Open the hearing for a second here. I'm surprised I wasn't reminded about this, but we never voted on the revenue side or discussed the revenue, which is a part of the public hearing. So be that as it may, we have, or the board budget committee has gotten an update from Cindy on the revenues, and the new revenue anticipated or estimated revenue for 2021 is $2,684,691. And again, that's an estimate. As Cindy explained last week, that's actually all looked at in October or September when they set the tax rate, and the revenue comes in more in line with reality. So if there's not any questions on the revenue, I'd entertain a motion for that, to approve that amount. Ron has moved it. Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Yep.
Selectmen agree.
Okay, so we will recess the hearing again. I'm surprised Ellen didn't remind me. So now I'd like to move over to our regular budget committee meeting. And right at the moment, we have Heather is with us. I'm assuming she'll be with us for the rest of the meeting. And so we will be having 9 votes for a vote count, and have to remind everybody that for fear of Cindy going to jail, we need to make sure that we get the numbers and correct when we make the vote between the selectmen and the budget committee. We will be making our votes, but Cindy and, Marissa will be keeping them and Cindy will be keeping them, but we have to make sure that we get the voting numbers correct. It's not just a yes or a no. We have to go yes or no by the number. Also, I don't know if we'll run into this, but I did send you guys all out the page 3 of the Kingston budget book, which explains how the motions and the recommendations have to go. That a motion to recommend passed by a vote of yeas and nays with absentees, that's the normal way. However, if there's a motion to not recommend passes, you got to do the same thing. But if we take a vote and on the first vote there's more nays than yays, then we have to do another motion to vote the no rather than the yes, if there's more no's on the first vote. In other words, we can't vote and say there's 6 no's and 3 yeses. Then we have to make another recommendation for not recommending it and then take the vote again. So we'll remind that. I don't see that as a big problem today, but that's the proper way we have to do that.
I don't know.
I'd also like to get a motion for the minutes of December 30th.
Different things.
Move approval.
Moved and seconded.
Yeah,
All
we
those
do
in
the
favor for
vote
the
if
minutes of December 30th? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's out of the way. That's done. Also, for those of you just quickly who got my emails with the different forms that we're looking for, that after we get through all of this, there are sheets that have to be signed. There's one that's the selectmen signed, or they actually already have signed, I think. But there's a MS 737 form, which you had copies of. It's a draft, which kind of lists the whole budget, but we can't do it till after we make our votes. This form we have to sign, and it'll probably be ready in town hall first of next week. And we'll have to go in and sign it. And it does have to go in when it's ready. We have to go in fairly quickly because it has to be sent to the state by a certain date. So you guys have copies of all that stuff. So all right, are we ready? So the first article on there is, again, town elections and election of officers. I would guess because it's on here, we have to make a motion to accept them. I don't
No,
know.
I don't think we do, where it's not a money article.
Right,
Chuck,
right.
I think we can just skip over that.
Okay? Okay. So we will, I guess, skip over that one. I don't know if there's nobody's against it, so. All right. Article number 2, which is the operating budget. And we did have a question on that and a recommendation from the library to change.
Mr. Chairman.
Hang on. To change their budget to add back in $6,445. Is there any more conversation about that at this point?
I make a motion to restore the $6,445 to the library budget.
Get a second for discussion, and it's the second. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, I make the motion not so much on the arguments of the letters, but I think that from a policy and overall point of view, the presentation actually made by Ms. Falconer was compelling to me.
What are you saying? Yeah,
Okay.
part of it.
So,
And I would, Chuck,
we have to do,
Equity issue.
Chuck,
we have a motion and a second on the floor to restore $6,445.
right, and Chuck, I'd like to be heard.
Wants to say something.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I would simply say that if we do that, that's fine, but I think we need to, we're hamstringing them a little bit for next year, because when they come in for the full budget, as Ellen said, they're going to look like they're asking for a bigger increase than they are, because that would have been in this year's budget. So, I mean, the other alternative is to give them what they asked for and have them return what they don't use, and then their budget reflects an accurate amount, unless the budget committee is going to remember next year that, okay, that's another 6,000 that we really shouldn't hold against them, because they're going to have to fund that full-time position at that time.
Right, everybody got that? And that is true, and of course, it's going to be true for if the code enforcement one gets approved and Rich's gets approved, we're gonna do that with those based on a 9-month salary. So yes, those 3 will go up. But right now,
But those are spelled out, Mr. Chairman. On the warrant article for the code enforcement, for example, it says clearly that it's for 9 months.
right,
So that's a record of it. What Mr. Rustin's referring to, if we don't restore the full amount, there's still, if we don't have institutional memory a year from now, the library would be penalized accordingly. At
Right.
least with the warrant articles, you can clearly see that it's for 9 months or 6 months or whatever.
That's right.
okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion to restore 6,445? Hand count, please.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You,
1,
Okay.
2,
no.
3, 4, 5. Yes, and those against?
No, I'm against it. I think we
1, 2,
stand as it is.
8.
I'm against.
It's 3 against.
So there's 2 on television and here.
1, 2, oh, I forgot. Okay, 3. So there's 4 against, 5 yea, 4 noes. The motion carries 5-4 to restore the 6,445.
Is it 5-4 or 5-3?
But we have 9 voters now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 voters now. So that vote would be
And
5.
the selectmen concur 4 for, 1 against. 4-1.
So I need now we have to come up with
I
a
would,
new total?
I would move I would move the budget as amended.
Okay,
Seconded.
now I need to get, and that's not a problem, we need to put an amount with it, Rick. So I got to figure out what that new amount will be, the total amount.
Yeah, Chuck,
Yes.
the new library line is 386,123.
386,
123.
123,
And
and what?
the new total for the budget then would be 6,660,848.
I would move the $6 million figure.
All right, we're just doing the library. We're not doing the totals or anything yet. So the two totals I need for the library is the salary full-time line, 155,345 is what that is right now. If we add the 6,445 to it, what is that total?
What's the line for the full-time?
Salary full-time line is 155,345. Add back in the 6,445.
The new total for the line is 161,790.
So I need a motion to approve the salary full-time line of 161,790.
So moved.
New motion, the new salary line. I have a motion on that in a second.
So moved, yep.
Rick did, okay, in a second, okay. So all those in favor of the new line item 9 line, raise your hand.
Yeah, that's fine.
5, 6. Those opposed?
You okay with the new
1,
salary?
2, 3. So that vote goes 6-3.
And 5-0 in selectmen.
Now, we need a new total, or I need a motion for a new total on the total library line, which was what, 3? Gotta be more than
416,414.
For what?
You're talking about line 4550,
Yes,
416,414.
well, it can't be more than,
Jim, am I correct in that? I'm just trying to help you out here.
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong line.
so what is it? 415? I can't hear you, Ellie, that's why I'm not.
416,414.
That's correct.
What is it? I still haven't.
$416,414.
416,414. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the total library budget for 416,414.
So moved.
Got by Rick, got a second? All those in favor? 5, those against? 6-4, 2 against. So those figures will stay on there, then we will, well, in order to do the warrant article, we have to change the amount in that warrant article now, right? So before we can vote on the warrant article, what is the new total?
It is 6,660,848. Yeah, I'm doing the 6,445 plus this total down here.
What do you think, Cindy?
654.
That's what I have.
Okay, yeah, I just corrected that. Sorry, they're right.
661.
Yep.
What is it?
661
359.
371.
60. All right, we'll get it.
370, excuse me, 370.
$6,661,300.
370.
You guys are killing me. My eraser's gone.
All right, you got a pencil.
It is pencil. $6,661,370. Okay, so on the operating budget, I would take a motion to change the total to $6,661,370. All those in favor?
I don't think you've had a motion, have you?
Oh, sorry. Motion? Somebody?
So move.
Second,
John? All right, now, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2 against. So on the budget committee, it is 6-2. And this,
Chuck,
no,
I think,
you were missing somebody.
Don't you have 9, Chuck?
We do.
yeah,
All those in favor again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those against?
6.
Okay, it was Emery that I forgot. Yeah.
6-3.
6-3. Got it. Thank you. Selectmen?
5-0.
Okay. Next item, rescind the ambulance replacement fund. Any particular questions or anything on that from the budget committee? All those in favor of the article as written?
I'll make a motion to, motion favor.
That's right. We're gonna do that. All right, second.
There's no money. Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of Article 3 as written?
Point of order, are you voting on an article that has no money attached to it?
Am I what?
Are you choosing to vote on an article that has no money impact?
Well, I guess I'm doing it because it's listed on here the name is on there, but I don't know technically if we don't have to, but the other one we do, right? Even though it's not.
The other one, I think you do because it is money attached to it.
Right.
You're moving money around, but it has no tax impact.
Chuck,
Hmm.
did the form come
Good
from?
point.
No, it comes from us.
The what?
I mean,
I'm just asking, this is a first-year person. This appears to have been drafted or approved by the Department of Revenue Administration. And it calls for a vote of both the Budget Committee and the Selectmen.
Well, that's just the
I don't
form.
may be right, ultimately, but so where do these come from?
These are carried over from last year. Those comments recommended by the budget and by the Board of Selectmen, that's carried over from last year to see whether we do vote on it or not. We could have eliminated some of them.
Yeah.
I think in 3, we don't have to, and 4, you do. I think that's my opinion. Do it, and you can vote on all of them if you want.
Ellen? I suppose if we vote on it, it doesn't hurt anything, but.
Where 3 and 4 are connected and 4 does have money, I think the better part of valor would probably be to let the budget committee vote. And after the fact, if you find out that the DRA doesn't require it, then you just don't put it on the warrant. But better to have the recommendation now than to find out after the fact you needed it and you didn't make one. But the budget, that gives the Board of Selectmen time to check with the DRA to find out if it is required.
And the other thing is, it provides some clarity for the voters.
It's one of them.
Yes. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of Article 3 as written?
Aye.
9-0. Selectmen?
5-0.
Article 4. Article 4 has been changed and eliminated a line, so we are actually voting on the new warrant article, minus that, minus the line for the purpose of purchase, repair, maintenance, etc. Any questions about that?
Oh, point of order. we're supposed to take out the other one after public notice of proposed expenditures as well.
Where's that?
On page 2,
Second to last sentence.
second to last sentence, after public notice of proposed expenditures.
So
At the top of the page, Chuck. I don't know where you have it in yours.
Okay. Oh, this is on Article 3?
No,
Article 4.
Yeah. To see if the town will vote to establish an ambulance service revolving fund. H.
Next to the last line, Chuck.
It's in red.
Chuck, it's the
It's in
second to
red
last
print.
line. After public notice of proposed expenditures, it's the end.
The other
of that
page.
line.
For clarity on this,
Someone show them where it is.
can this fund still only be used for things related to the ambulance, or by changing those 2 points, is it able to be used for anything they need?
Okay, I got it now. But you guys did not vote on that, right? That wasn't included in the first sentence, though.
no, it wasn't. With DRA, they basically said that because the selectmen are authorized via private or previous warrant articles were authorized to make these expenditures, this is kind of extraneous and they wanted it removed.
Okay. And you all agree to that, selectmen wise?
Yes.
Okay, so back to Article 4. We have the article as written minus the 2 different statements or sentences that the selectmen have removed.
Jack, you have to open the hearing again to get them revote that line to be removed. And then close it again, because it's been published this way. They have the right to change it, but you need to open the hearing again, make them vote to remove part of that line, then, recess the hearing again, and then you're done. You're all set.
Okay, so.
Unless we have something else, but go ahead.
Yeah, we'll reopen the hearing
Thank you.
and ask the selectmen to
Yeah,
vote
I
on
move
that.
that we delete that last line per recommendation of
Second.
DRA.
All those,
Yes.
you're all in favor, right? Okay, we'll recess.
Heather had a question.
Yes.
Heather?
I just was wondering if by removing those 2 lines, does it mean that it's still only for ambulance related situations, or can they use the funds for anything?
I can't.
Still, it's still, the funds would be used relative to the ambulance. It's just not as specified. It could be more than those. There may be other pieces of equipment that would be appropriate for the ambulance that wasn't specified in the first piece of it.
And so I was the one who asked that this be put on the warrant because I wanted more public transparency, but DRA said essentially, since we're already empowered to do that in the first place, it's just redundant. So we shouldn't have it in there.
Okay, so those 2 have eliminated. We recess the hearing again. We're back to the board meeting, and we have a motion and a second on that, correct? Or let's do a new motion and second based on the new vote the selectmen just took.
I motion to approve with the new wording.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor of Article 4 with the corrections? Aye.
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 And Budget Committee 9-0.
5-0 on selectmen.
Article 5. This LED streetlights upgrade. Any more questions on that? We did get pretty well updated on that. We know that may change next week if there's some different wording, but I think the most important point there was the $10,000 a year approximate savings that we didn't have that information before. So
I'll move the article.
Rich moved it. We got a second?
Second.
All those in favor of Article 5? Aye. Budget Committee 9-0.
5-0 selectmen.
Discount, Article 5, a motion.
So moved.
motion here, kids?
So moved.
No more. All right, second. Seconded. All those in favor of the Article 6 discount? Aye. Budget Committee 9.
I'll let you know if I'm against.
5-0, Selectmen.
Article 7, Capital Reserve Fund, $85,000 for the fire apparatus replacement. Any questions? Any further questions on that one? I'd entertain a motion for that one.
So moved.
John moved it. Second?
Second.
Anyone?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Budget Committee 9-0.
Selectmen 5-0.
Another appropriation for Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund for $80,000. Any more questions on that one? I would entertain a motion for that one.
Move approval.
Second? Yeah,
So moved.
second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? Budget 9-0. Selectmen?
5-0.
Appropriation for Highway Department Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, $100,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions on that one? Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Budget Committee 9-0. Selectmen?
5-0.
Article 11. The full-time code enforcement position.
Move approval.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, just a quick question. Are there punitive damages that the code enforcement officer would be able to?
We can't hear you, Jim.
If there's an infraction that the code enforcement officer catches, are there punitive punishments for the offending party, or it's just a strongly worded letter saying, please don't do that?
So one of the things,
We're on.
we've been doing a fee review, just making sure that the town is in line with other towns for what we're charging for things. And obviously this is just anecdotal, but it is my belief that this position, just enforcing the fees that we already have on the books, this isn't adding anything or making anything like that. You know, there is a lot of money that is just left on the table by the town because nobody's following up on these things. And so there are currently fees in place for ordinance violations and things like that, but this is not someone who's going to be looking for someone who painted their house the wrong color in the historic district, or like, you know, it's to go after people who like site plans, like businesses that have made deals with the town, and to ensure that those deals are being followed. So there are penalties, you know, within that structure, and for ordinance violations. If someone's running an illegal junkyard, there's a pretty much boilerplate, you know, fee for that every day that you don't, you know, once you're noticed a violation. So yeah, there's nothing being added to the books. It's just enforcing the rules that we currently already have and have had in many cases for a long time.
Sure. So potentially additional revenues is really what I was going
There
with that.
would be, and we have revenue losses, even in developments by contractors who are building 2 or 3 houses and need to get a road in. Well, who's watching to make sure that the number one, the road gets put in and it's done correct? It's going to take someone to monitor that. I know we've used our engineer, Dennis Quintel, to do that. It also would save us some money on legal fees because we're spending time with attorneys to issue cease and desist notices, and then need to, again, follow up, and who's going to do that? It's not as simple as it would seem. But if we have a designated person that's authorized to do so, that will save us some money on one hand and also bring in some revenue. It's not a matter of generating revenue, it's a matter of having the jobs done correctly so that we don't have problems with drainage, with septic, with neighbors.
Yeah, and I think attaching a dollar value to it would just be an arbitrary number that we'd be throwing out. But in talking with other towns, when they brought a code enforcement officer on, and they have seen substantial increases in the fees that are being collected, and without changing any fees, they've seen those numbers go up. But I'm hesitant to put any dollar value on that because it really wouldn't be truthful without knowing the situation.
Sure, and I wouldn't expect you to put in a monetary value to that. It's more, I guess, more subjective for the voters when they're looking at it. They might like to know that it could be saving them some money versus just costing money for an additional position. That's all.
Okay. I was more inclined for a part-time one when it first got out and got talked about, just because of the amount of money originally there and actually what the workload might be and or being combined. But since the selectmen have mentioned the fact that maybe 2 years down the road, this fellow gets caught up and we have to replace the building inspector or the health inspector or whatever, that he may be able to take that role on. So it would be a combination. So that.
And we debated amongst ourselves, full-time, part-time. The need is full-time, there's no question. And so when we discussed this, we said that it's best to let the town know we need this. This is not a sort of need. This is a mandatory need for our community. You talk to anyone else in any other town and you tell them you don't have a code enforcement officer, they look at you like you've got 3 heads. Because we got a lot of money being left on the table and a lot of things not being built correctly.
I'll move the article.
Second.
I'll move the article.
Second. All those in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Budget Committee 9-0.
Selectmen in favor, 5-0.
Did we skip Article 10?
Did I?
We did.
Yep.
I did. Thanks, Gary. You're still awake with us. That a boy.
Thanks. I just had coffee. It's okay.
Nice work, Gary.
Brian didn't speak up either. Anyway, Article 10, full-time highway position. Do we have any particular?
I'll move the article.
Second.
I second it, yeah.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Nobody? Selectmen?
5-0.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Man.
Article 12. This is a petitioned warrant article from SoWalk Coalition. And this warrant article is for
Article 12. So
$6,600 or $63.33. Any further?
I have a question. I was surprised that nobody was here to sponsor this.
Hang on.
There was conversation around the possibility that the school board had funded part of this. Can we find out definitively if that is the case or not?
Yeah,
I'm
good point.
almost certain that they did not. They discussed it in their budget meeting. However, at the end of that meeting, which was, I don't remember when it was, in November maybe, they voted a budget that was like $600,000 less than what they had started with. So I'm almost certain that they didn't fund any extras, including their paras and all those things that they really needed to fund. So I can't be 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not funded by them.
Well, I would ask that the minutes reflect that if we vote to support this, we're doing it with the idea that the school has not funded it.
I think that's fair.
So that they don't double dip. I don't think they would be, but if we have the minutes reflect that we're doing it with the understanding that the school board has not budgeted this, then I'm good with it.
Right. I did ask Charlotte after the budget meeting. She said that she had no knowledge. She had never heard anything, and since it never got back to her. And I would assume if they were funding her, but I do think that's fair to put the wording in to make sure that she only gets the amount requested and not more than that.
Okay,
Ellen, did you have something?
My own thought on it is, last year it was $3,000. This year, I would be more inclined to see this be changed or have them rechange it to the 3,000, being that's what it was last year. None of the other social services people have gone up significantly. And as we don't know if the school is funding it, that would give them what they need. If the school isn't funding it, be kind of the same as it was last year.
So Chuck, that last year's amount was changed from her original request, which was this amount. So last year's amount wasn't 3,000 and now she's doubling it. Last year's amount was changed. Additionally, it's not like all the other social services. Almost all the other social services are either regional or national companies that are being funded in a multitude of other ways. This is a local to Rockingham County organization, and that it's funded by towns in Rockingham County. It's not being funded additionally federally or in any other way. So it's not exactly the same as the other organizations that we do provide money for. With that being said, I think it would be fair that at the very least, we give her the 4 to 8% increase that we're showing all the other people that are coming in and asking for increases for their operating costs and budgetary needs.
Does Ellen have any knowledge about this as a social service person? And maybe Ellen could shed some light on what they do.
Chief Briggs did indicate that he does use their services for the kids here at school.
I was going to say that if anyone was going to give any, I have no personal knowledge of this agency. We don't utilize them, but Chief Briggs does. So I would give I would ask him those questions. I do just want to say that just because someone voted default isn't because they didn't take out money from other things, because I watched them take a vote to add $3,000 to this budget. There are other people here who were at the meeting who might be able to clarify that, but and certainly you can double check it so that any recommendations you can change on the floor if you so choose to clarify, because I saw them vote it, but the other speaker is correct that perhaps there was some change after the fact that I didn't see. So, I mean, I did see them add $3,000 to the budget and they did that. But again, perhaps there was something else that happened after the fact I'm unaware of. But Chief Briggs would probably be able to answer your questions better than I could.
Chief?
A lot of the programs they do are at the Austin House across from the old Bessie's.
Mm-hmm.
So they do a lot of after-school programs for a lot of the high school. A lot of referrals to them, various things.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion for the Soul Rock Coalition at the 63,333.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of recommending Soul Rock at that amount? All those against? Just me. 8-1. Budget Committee. Selectmen?
Selectmen are 2-4, 3 against.
The last item, Article 13, playground upgrade, Folly Brook Terrace. Any further questions on that?
I'll move the article.
Terrace.
Got a motion in a second?
I got a question.
Oh, go ahead, Gary.
Where is Folly Brook Terrace?
Off of 125 near the fairgrounds.
Say that again?
Where is Folly Brook?
The old fairground.
Oh, the old fairground.
Yeah, Folly Brook.
Okay. I didn't know that was called Folly Brook.
There's a,
So how many playgrounds do we have outside of, the one across from the police station and the baseball field and the fairgrounds? Is that it?
What was his question?
how many, there's
playgrounds?
one at the Recreation Center, one at Folly Brook. Are there other?
DJ Bakey has a
Bakey School has one, Gary.
That's a
Oh,
school.
yeah, that's right.
Baking
Okay,
school, but they've been closed with COVID. They haven't allowed anybody to use it.
right.
Not maintained by the towns, my point.
Well, yes, it
This
is.
is the only
It's the other
playground maintained by
pocket.
the
Right.
town.
Right.
It's a good space. There's a lot of kids over there.
They just rebuilt one in Exeter too, didn't they? All right, so entertain a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of Article 13 as written? Aye. Budget Committee, 9,
Nope.
0.
I'm a no.
Wait, who's got a no? Kimberly. Okay. 8-1.
Selectmen 3, 4, 2 against.
Okay. Well, that, I think, takes care of, except for what Ellen's going to say.
Order, on Article 12, was the Board of Selectmen's vote recommended by the Board of Selectmen 2 in favor, 3 opposed? Is that correct?
Or which one are you talking
Article
12.
12, did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, you need to take a motion to not recommend, because you can't have recommended by the Board of Selectmen 2 to 3. So you should make a motion to not recommend and then vote it, so you're.
I move that we not recommend Article 12.
Second.
And the vote's-
Anyone care to speak? Take a vote. The motion is on the table to not recommend Article 12.
So if you're not in favor of Article 12, you vote yes.
Correct.
Aye.
Aye.
You? So it's 4-1.
Okay. Anything else, Ellen? Anything else before we? All right. So on that note, there's no other questions. Reminding everybody that December 30th, 9 o'clock, same place, same time. We all need to be here, except the fact that Ellen will be running the meeting.
Don't leave.
Oh, Ellen, I forgot about you.
You're gonna ask me, okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to clarify for the public and especially for the Budget Committee, to come deliberative session, if there are any amendments to warrant articles that need to be voted on, well, we're going to try and have it be that everybody can be on Zoom. We don't know if we can do that yet. We have to double check with the school. We might have to do the Zoom and YouTube thing like you've been doing, but we're trying for just Zoom. At deliberative session, only the people in the building are going to be able to vote on any amendments. We can't have anyone voting by Zoom. The legislature doesn't allow it. So if there are changes to any warrant articles, anyone participating by Zoom or other will not be able to vote on those articles unless it's something really contentious, in which case I'll probably ask to table it, give everybody 20 minutes to get here to vote while we go on with the rest of the warrant, but we won't know that until the time. If the Budget Committee, after the deliberative session, continues your meeting, and then you need to have Budget Committee members vote on Budget Committee action, that you can do. It's only the deliberative session, not any other meetings before or after that this counts to. But I just wanted to give everybody that information so you'd know it ahead of time.
It was January 30th at 9 o'clock.
December 30th. I mean, January 30th, yeah.
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 And Cindy, when do you think you'll have that? Tuesday? All right, so Cindy will let me know when we have to. Okay, that's fine.
It's on the budget.
Yes. Yes. No, on the operating budget you're looking for? 6 in favor, 3 against.
Of the operating budget?
Operating budget, that's what I have. What do you have, Marissa? 6 to 3 for the budget committee.
No,
And we got 5 and 0.
That's what I've got, 6-3.
really? Okay.
Anything else?
Is that deliberative session at Town Hall or
Right here.
here?
No, it's going to be right here.
Here.
Yep.
That was 4-1, did not recommend. 4-1. 4-1.
What's 4-1?
Did someone just ask what's 4-1? 4-1 was selectmen's vote on Article 12 to not recommend.
Article 12, okay. Four to one, not 2-3. Okay.
All right. Anything else, Gary?
Looks good. Hope you guys are prepared for wind.
Prepared for wind, you said, going out. So on that note, if there's no other further questions before us, I will adjourn the hearing, and also will adjourn our budget committee meeting. Thank you all.
Are we done?
That's it. Beef.